What's up, y'all? This is the Adapt or Die podcast, a podcast that explores new and relevant ideas for the purposes of self-growth and helping you live a more fulfilled lifestyle. My name is Armel Tala.
And my name is Ben Smith. We're two university students pursuing our own journeys of self-growth with the hopes of sharing our findings with you. Welcome back to the Adapt or Die podcast. My name is Ben. This is my co-host Armel. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about a very important topic, which is time management.
Time management. And to those that don't understand why this is important, you're probably just a kid. I'm playing. But time management. This is part 2 of our time series.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where part 1, we discussed the philosophical and the scientific view of time. But now we want to take that view, that understanding of the theory, and now we want to find a way, we want to apply it. So you go like, we talked about the science of time, the philosophy of time. How can I apply those into my life?
How can we better use our time? And while we're talking about this, think about everything, everyone you know. What is it when people say, how have you been? Oh, I've been busy. What's going on? Oh, just a lot of work, Or, I just feel like I need more time, I just wish I had more time. How many times have you heard people say that?
A lot. All the time.
I feel like our society has become so blind to how we use time. And I think today we can talk about not only time management, but just how to value your time.
And honestly, we're going to just get right started. You guys know what we're talking about, time management. But you hit on a point that when I was just kind of watching videos and just researching about it, it's like our society today has actual way more time.
Oh, by far.
Than 100 years ago. Because think about now with technology, people can wash their you have things that washes your clothes. You have things that soon we're gonna have cars that go drive us places. We have all the technology. Every problem that's being solved has to do with either saving money or saving time. A lot of the little computer everything.
You have a supercomputer in your pocket.
Convenience. There's just so much time that's been saved of mundane, mindless tasks that they used to go out and have to pick their own food, bro. People used to it wasn't go to HEB, let me get a steak. No, go to the fields and go kill a cow and kill a buffalo or whatever and go get your food. So we have an insane amount of time. But the crazy thing was when I was listening, it was I think it was a TED Talk called the philosophy of time management, and the dude said, well, they didn't complain about not having time back then, and it was that's so crazy. But the reason why we complain is even though we have way more time, we just have way more options.
And so we're trying to do too much, and so that's let's actually let me roll it back real quick before we get really into it. I want to define efficiency versus effectiveness.
Okay.
Efficiency is essentially doing things faster. Okay. You just you say, I have this task. How can I do this task 10% faster, 20% faster? How can I save time by doing it faster?
Mm-hmm.
Effectiveness is saying, all right, I have these tasks. What are the most important? Okay, I'm going to focus on the most important tasks because those are the most effective, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're the things that bring the most value in my life. Okay, so I just wanted to establish that before we really get started. Efficiency, doing things faster. Effectiveness, focusing on the most important things. Okay, do you mind if I start us off?
Go ahead.
Okay. I want to talk about, so time management is fairly, like you said, people don't really complain about time. It's not, we haven't really had this many options in society and this many things to do for that long. So time management actually is a fairly new area of study. Okay. So the first way, as far as the history of time management, the first way that we started really managing our time was through efficiency. Okay. To-do lists. Make a to-do list, right? I'm going to schedule my day. I'm going to make sure I can use my structure, my order to do things faster.
And for some reason I don't associate efficiency and to-do lists. I feel like to-do list is more like an effective thing. You have your list of things that are important.
Yes. Okay. So it's kind of both. It's not one of efficiency and effectiveness. They're synonymous in many ways. efficiency. It's more about like you're right, actually. But the first way we've really been trying to manage time is to say, all right, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
I'm gonna list those
Identifying
things.
what's important
All
and
right,
trying to
and
knock
then
them
let me
out.
do those fast as possible.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna find those things,
And
do them
then
fast as
knock-
possible.
yeah.
Boom. And it was very simple, right?
Yeah.
Now, as society's been evolving, technology, information age, we kind of came to a new era. It's this. I got this. I'm gonna explain basically a model. Okay, I got this model from Rory Vaden. Okay, he
Mhm.
wrote a book. And so the second kind of era of time management was ushered in by, I don't know, you've heard me talk about this book all the time. It's called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey.
I wanna
You have to read this book.
I wanna emphasize, like, to be honest, I have not. I got the book. I remember when I was starting my whole like real big diving really deep into like self growth, self development. It's one of the books that everyone always recommends. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just reading the first 10 pages, that's really all I got to. I'm gonna be an honest Joe and tell y'all I didn't really read it. I'll be honest, straight up. But within the first 10 pages, I already had a paradigm shift. Like the way I perceived everything after reading 10 pages had changed so much. That's the one highlight, the power of reading, but two, just how crazy that book is.
And that book is not necessarily focused on time, but there is a lot of time management things that are kind of involved in there. There's a lot of great habits that he talks about. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, guys. That book absolutely changed my life. But getting back to time management, so the second era of time management, ushered in by Stephen R. Covey, Dr. Stephen R. Covey, who wrote that book. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, is this new paradigm. So instead of just to-do lists, instead of just saying, I have these things to do, we ordered our to-do list based on 2 things: urgency and importance. Okay, so we say, I have this due date. I need to do this by, 2 days from now. And we also have importance. Okay, well, washing my car is not that important.
Yeah.
Like in a grain,
Yeah.
there's better things.
Yeah.
There's more important things. All right. So based on, that, you can imagine like an axis, right? We have the scale. As things are more urgent and more important, they are higher up. If things are less urgent, less important, they are down on the to-do list. This is basic prioritization. We've kind of all heard of these ideas.
Yeah.
This is permeated society. It's kind of became really big in the late 1900s, maybe like the 70s to the 80s. I'm not exactly sure the time period, but basically we have urgency, importance. Now there's kind of a fundamental issue, like you said, you kind of alluded to it earlier. When we're doing that, when we're prioritizing our to-do list, what we're gonna do, that doesn't necessarily give us more time. Okay, so when we're saying these are the most important things, I want to do this first, but you're still doing everything.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't really gain any time unless you eliminate things, which you can, and people do.
Okay.
But in that sense, it doesn't really. There's more that can be done. And so now we're going to come to today's time management skills. How, and this is, I love this model. And so Rory Vaden calls people who use this model time multipliers. Okay. Time multipliers. And so it takes the urgency aspect, the importance aspect, and they add one more aspect, or he adds one more aspect. It's called significance. So if urgency is when something, like when I have to do something.
Yeah.
Importance is how much value will that provide to me today? Like how important is it? Significance is how long, like in the future, how long will my task provide value to me?
So what I'm hearing is, when you take into account of just the urgency being like, this paper might be due like next week,
You gotta get it done.
Because when I'm hearing importance and significance, it's like those are synonyms practically, right? But one is to do with a short-term return, and one has to do with like a long. So significance is asking, in the long term, how is this how is this returning value to me?
Right. It's kind of, and they are synonyms in the way we use English. Obviously English is kind of a convoluted. We get there's wording is important, but importance is how much value will this provide to me today. Significance will be how long will that value last. Okay, so different things, but very related. Okay, the reason that is important is because people who are time multipliers, they don't think of time as what can I do? What's the most important thing I can do today? That's not the way they think. It's a fundamental difference. They think, what's the most important thing that I can do today that will give me time back in the future? Okay. How can I do things? How can I function today in a way that I will actually gain time in the future? Okay. To me, a great example of this would be passive income. Think about what you're doing with passive income.
Mm-hmm.
If you are, if you're starting a business, when you're starting up that business, it's very important to you. It's urgent, but most importantly, it is significant. It has very long-term impacts. Imagine when you're starting a business, it's very difficult at first, which is why a lot of people don't do it. But once you have a business running and you're a business owner, do you have to work?
You don't have to.
You don't have to, right? So if you don't have to work, think about how, if you work a 9 to 5, that's 8 hours,
Yeah.
8 hours a day,
Yeah.
5 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
52 weeks a year. I mean, not 52, probably like
Mhm.
48,
Yeah.
maybe 40, vacation days, whatever. When you're doing that, that's an insane amount of time, right? So if you're making passive income to the extent that you do not have to go to work, you just saved 8 hours a day, 5 days a week
to do more.
for the rest of your life.
So it's like looking at it from, because I love this talk. I love conversation about passive income, how to live freely and at a point. But so it's like you're in the moment that you're doing it, in that time you're spending a lot of time, right?
You're spending,
But understanding the significance is what continues to what makes you continue to push through and remember, like,
exactly.
yo, I need to make sure I reserve time to do this, because like
Right.
in the long run, it's like looking at things as an investment. It's
Mhm.
it's oh
Exactly.
I would say, like, one of the greatest things that's ever happened in terms of like me looking at time and time management is investing. Investing is such a powerful thing in terms of like, one, your money, but also like taking the ideas, the philosophies from investing, applying it to different aspects of time management, is saying like, if I'm doing this right now, what is the return on the investment, right? And sometimes the return on the investment, you can look at it from the short term. Like, if I'm working out right now, I'm hooping, right? There's two returns on it. There's a short term and a long term return. So you have the short term of like, you're gonna feel good after. You're gonna have, if I'm going to hoop, I'm gonna feel good after. I'm gonna have fun while I'm doing it. And the long term is, I'm also gonna I'm getting cardio, and I'm getting
Right.
make sure my body's moving, making sure it's health wise. So looking at things in a return on investment, like if you're just sitting on the couch, XYZ, and you're asking yourself like, what is this returning to me? And the thing is, like, sometimes the return doesn't have to be significant. It could just be, are you okay with what that's
Right.
giving you back?
And yeah, just and what you hit on, return on investment, you actually hit on one of his points, which was he wrote a book called Procrastinating on Purpose. I think it was a New York Times bestseller. Roy Vaden is his name. He calls it return. He calls it ROT, return on time, right? Return on time.
ROT. I'm gonna start using that.
ROT. And so this has so many applications, right? Because when you think about your time, if you are spending time today to get back time tomorrow, then you are using your time much more effectively, much more efficiently than anyone else.
Then if you were like,
yeah, and so if you are simply doing things only for today, what you see is linear growth, right? You see, I'm doing things today, and you'll grow, you will. But if you're doing things in a very future-oriented manner, you see exponential growth.
oh wow,
It's very slow in the beginning. It's like starting a business. In the beginning, you have to build a foundation. It takes time. It takes effort. You think you think that it's just too much work, and you have to give yourself the emotional permission. I'm using actually his words, Roy Vaden's words. The emotional permission to do things today that will give you more time tomorrow. Okay? And it's very hard, because a lot of times we say,
I'm tired.
The business, I don't have to do that.
Let me hit actually perfect example, because I'm gonna go in on this. So and I was just talking to Ben about this earlier today. Like, the way I'm, because I'm really big on wanting to build a lot of things now while I'm in college, because again, the best time to take risks, the best time, every single entrepreneur older person that, that's taking risks later on in their life, they always say, I wish I would have taken so much more risk in college. Because in college, once you fail at whatever business, you're a student.
So what?
You as a student, you are on the bottom of society. Like you are literally, you're already broke. You're already, expected to go to school XYZ. So like if you fail to be a student. It's not like you're expected to pay bills and, at least for most people that are,
And like the key thing I think when thinking about that is what's the worst that could happen? Like honestly, if you started a business and you failed miserably, you lost 20K.
Yeah.
You spent so much time and it just didn't work. And now you are a senior in college with an education.
And then you're gonna
are you gonna starve? No.
Yeah.
You have water, you have food, you have the needs you have basic necessities. You have a whole life ahead of you still. You have not lost anything. If anything, you just use that experience.
You've gained so much more.
Exactly. And
I was gonna hit on the point because it seems we went from time to talking about starting businesses, but to emphasize on the point of time is saying that like you taking it now, me putting in the work now, there's so much work now to build up all these like different ventures I have that will later down the road when I'm 25, like I'm chilling. Like I will have all the time. I will be working because I want to, not because I have to. And the way people see it is like, oh, college as of right now is, enjoy your days as a youth. And the way I'm like, I enjoy my days as a youth. What I'm doing is what I enjoy. But at the same time too, I'm going to be putting in the work now because it's going to free up so much time and space while everybody else is inverse. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everyone else, you're going to have to be putting in the work and the time and the effort in the future. And it's going to be like, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So,
and I think let's go over some like, passive income. That's a very macroscopic example, right? It is not something you do in a day. It is very hard. Like it is not, that's something you do over the course of years. But let's bring it down to like more of a micro. Let's give some examples of what are some things that we can do today to give ourselves maybe they're more short term, right? Obviously, when we're looking at this paradigm, I'm probably not going to get more time tomorrow by doing one thing today, right? In a sense, like I'm not going to get more time back each day for the rest of my life by doing 5 minutes of work today. It's just not how it works.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's give some more practical examples that are
on how people can do something now that will save them time.
Maybe there's a little less friction betwing some of these examples than passive, because passive income is starting a business is very hard.
It's a that you're right, and it's definitely something like in everything we're saying. We're talking for the average and majority of people. We understand that there's people in some situations where you are paying everything yourself. You can't go out and start a business because you're entirely paying for the school. You're not taking on any loans. You're straight, like, we get it. And you're probably going to be fine in the future because, that just means you're a hustler, XYZ. But so in a more practical, in my opinion, probably one of the most practical things where you will see an instant return on your investment, and it's something I wish that I try to focus on now, and I wish I was, really focused on it in high school, was sleep. Sleep will give you, if you don't sleep, you get 4 hours of sleep, right? And you're like, oh, I was working on something XYZ. Like you actually are diminishing your return on how well you work.
So no, definitely.
So you may have you have 4 tasks to do, right? You have 4 assignments to do. You sleep 4 hours. It will take you more time to finish that than if you would have slept 8 hours, because your mind will be sharp. You won't feel grouchy. You won't be tempted to stop as much. Like sleep is one of those things where it's like an instant. It's something that you do now, and yes, people can argue you're talking about time management, but sleep takes time away. But sleep is one of those things where you spend the time to do it now, right? You take the time to sleep, and so it saves you actual more time because you get your work done faster. And then by the end of the day, you're like, man, it's already only 8 o'clock, and I finished everything, and now you have time to hang out with your friends and then go back to sleep.
And this is where kind of what you said. It's hard to go to sleep. Why is it hard for us to get 8 hours of sleep? Why is that so hard? And when you think about it, it's because on an emotional level, on some level, we either don't believe or don't care that sleep today will give us more time tomorrow. On some level, we do that idea does not permeate us, and we just there's so much friction that we don't want to do it.
if y'all can see my face right now, Ben hit on a point, like, because I can relate to this 100, 1,000, a bajillion, like, percent, because when I was in high school and I'm doing my work and like you hear about hustlers, you're like, sleep is for those that are broke, XYZ. And of course, like there's some situations where like if you have something that is due at like a time and
you're not going to sleep every day.
Yeah, you're not going to be
It's
able to
not
hit it every
perfect.
day. But what we're trying to understand is like people view as like, oh, if I'm asleep, I'm losing 2 hours of things I could be doing. But the thing is, those 2 hours and when you're doing it, it should not take you 2 hours. You'd be like, oh, I gotta write this paper when you could have been written in an hour, but because you didn't sleep and this stuff, it's taking you 2 hours, taking you even longer because your cognitive function is just much worse. So it's like it like you said, it's so hard for us to understand that like you sleeping actually will save you more time because you will be able to be more, as you said, effective and efficient.
And on a larger scale, on a macroscopic scale, even more than sleep, as a whole, your health is, I feel personally. I'm only 18, so I can't comment on this too much. But like many people, they ask me like, Ben, why do you? I try to I try to eat very healthy. I don't generally eat too much sugar or I try to cut up most of bread, anything that the traditional things that you guys know, you've heard. I try to eat healthy. I try to exercise at least 5 days a week for at least an hour. Try to get some cardio in 3 times a week for at least 15 minutes. Those things, right? The proper nutrition, the exercise, and the sleep, those are 3 just foundational things for health. And when you do those things, why would I do those? I'm 18. Is me eating a pizza going to make me fat? No. Honestly, it won't. I can probably go burn that off playing basketball. I don't really. That's not the focus. The real reason is because on the back end, if I'm a healthier human being, not only will I live longer, but when I am 50, I will actually be able to function better. I will be more effective and efficient at 50 than most 50-year-olds. And so my return on time investment is adding up now. So the earlier you start, the more investment, and that's totally a personal decision, right?
Yeah.
I think it's important personally to invest in my health like that. I do not. I would
100% agree with you.
I'm not saying that everyone needs to live my lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I live a perfect lifestyle. There are many things I do wrong. I'm absolutely like there's so many things that I can improve.
We were up till 3:30 at night last night, you know. So
and so
nobody's perfect.
No one's perfect. But the point of me saying that is you have to assess the return on investment. And like I said with my quote, give yourself the emotional, how did he say it? Give yourself the emotional strength or ability to do things that will give you time tomorrow, right? Even if they don't give you time today.
It deals with this concept. I think you told me about it. And we said when we're talking about time management, I just want to emphasize to the people that are listening and watching and on the live. We talked about time management as like we're not gonna just give you tips and tricks. So this is how, like us talking right now is you have to fundamentally understand these concepts because tips and tricks are more like, okay, you can do this to kind of tweak your routine, but like once you have a fundamental understanding of actually why do you waste your time, what happens when you actually are focusing on different aspects and understanding what actually makes time management work, and it's this concept of future self. You hit it like you eating good now, eating good, exercising, and getting the proper amount of sleep. You don't see that, like how it affects you the next day, the next week, the next month, and even the next 5 years. But in the long run, your future self is one. You said live longer, so that's another thing we can talk about with time management. You want more time? Well, you do all these things now. Bam, you live an extra 20 years at.
Yeah, and when people always say, "Well, I don't really want to live longer." What if I suffer?
Yeah.
You're suffering because you're living an unhealthy lifestyle.
Exactly, and it caught back up to you.
Yeah, and it caught back up to you earlier. Right, earlier in life than other people. And so if you are living a healthy lifestyle, you will be you will effectively be maybe a 40-year-old and a 50-year-old body in terms of how we view 50-year-olds, right? I mean, everything's kind of relative like that. But and when that happens, you're living longer, you're getting more time, and you're probably gonna enjoy that time more. Right?
Exactly. You're gonna be able to move with your kids, but on the idea of future self, it's something that if you start thinking about time management and the way you spend your time, as in like how is future me tomorrow, and a lot of people say that's a problem for tomorrow. No, that's not a problem for tomorrow. That's a problem for you tomorrow. Like, people forget the you, because when you don't do an assignment, and I'm very guilty of this, and I'm working my way out of it. And everything we're saying, someone in the live talked about not me eating some type of food, right? Or I think it was Sour Patch Kids, bro. I was eating candy like last. I think I had like 2 boxes of pizza last night, type thing. Like, we're saying all of this to just, we understand that it does not come easy. It's all these things that we're telling you that fundamentally are going to build you as a good person in your time management. Is not going to come easy, but it's one, being aware of it, but then two, and also thinking like you have to start caring about what future you is. Absolutely. Like, future you, it really does matter. Future you could be living such an easy life.
And I kind of want to get back to, because I didn't get to explain the model of how to actually use everything.
Okay.
But first, before I hit that, is future you. This is such a profound thought to me. When you are saying yes to one thing, you are saying no to an infinite amount of others. Okay? When you are saying yes to one thing, that is economics opportunity cost, you are saying no to an infinite amount of others. What does that mean? Let me give you an example. Let's say it's Tuesday. Okay, I know I have a lot of homework. There's just a lot of work, right? And I say, okay, my physics homework is due Sunday. I don't care. It's whatever. I have, whatever. And then I'm like, all right, it's Tuesday. I have 3 assignments due Sunday. If I don't do my assignments Tuesday, I know that when Sunday comes around, I actually might have to end up working on Saturday to finish all my work on Sunday. And then what did I just sacrifice? I basically just switched my free time on Tuesday for my personal most fun part of the weekend, which is Saturday. I love Saturday, like Saturday, Friday. We get to have, so what you just lost when you said yes to not doing, when you said yes to just, watching TikTok or Netflix or whatever it is, which is not a bad thing. You can do those things. That's not the point. The point is, when you said yes to those things, you simultaneously just said no to future other things because you didn't spend that time doing your work when you should have done your work.
You brought up something about like, it's okay to be on those apps or TikToks, and it's like we're not saying to become great with time management you need to cut off like what people see like as all the bad, like YouTube, all whatever. Like, you can have those things. It's more the fact that you need to be aware of the opportunity cost. Just be aware of what are you doing right now, and how is it gonna how is it gonna affect you, right?
Now, kind of going off what you just said, like, we are absolutely not telling you what to do. If you want to be on TikTok, like, cool. TikTok is funny. It's interesting.
If you want
to watch YouTube, whatever.
If you want to party all through college, that is fine. But it's just the fact that you understand, like, and this is the whole thing where awareness overcomes deception, right? And shameless plug of the clothing brand, but like the name itself, it's another part of this Adapt or Die podcast, because if you're aware of all these things that you're doing and you accept it, then like you aren't being deceived. Like, there's no deception. There's a difference. If someone is partying every single day, but no one ever told them like, yo, there's life after this, there's this going on, they've been deceived because they weren't aware. But if you're fully aware that you're going out and partying XYZ, and you have these things going on, and in the long term, like, you actually have all these things set out, like, you're aware of everything that you're doing, and you're aware of how it's affecting you, then that decision is truly up to you. But those that aren't aware, they're not actually deciding anything. They're living blindless. They don't have options. So the whole point is that just be aware of thinking about the return on your ROT, return on time, your return on your investment, and just awareness.
Just realize that. And this is one of the things that I kind of realized. I thought about it, and I was like, okay, Netflix is cool. I love Netflix. Yeah. TikTok, whatever, social media. Those things are fun. They're interesting. I like interacting with my friends. Most of my friends know, though, that I don't really use social media much. I don't really get on it that much. It's not really something I value that much. And the reason is because there are things, when I'm saying yes to scrolling on Instagram for an hour, I'm saying no to something else. And that no might not be and the other example, hanging out with your friends. But
Mm-hmm.
when you think about it, are there any hobbies you enjoy that you could, like, do you want to learn how to play an instrument? Like, maybe that sounds kind of like cliche, like,
Yeah.
but like, are there things that you would like to be able to do?
Mhm.
Do you have passions outside of life that you would like to pursue instead of scrolling through Instagram? And for me personally, the answer is 100% yes,
Yeah.
right? So for me, I personally cut almost all of social media out of my life because I would rather spend them doing other things.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean you need to cut everything out.
Yeah.
If you would like to do a 70-30 split, if you would like to keep 90% of your social media and use 10% extra time on something you enjoy, perfect, fine.
And again,
We just want you to understand the opportunity cost that comes with doing certain things.
I want you to hit your point in explaining
Okay,
like
yes,
how to do
yes.
it, because that actually transitioned into like, I actually want to hit this point on the TED Talk that I listened
Mhm.
to about the philosophy
Okay.
of time, because it really hits home on actually what time management truly should be. But
Okay.
go ahead.
Yeah. So when we're thinking about what we're doing, we're thinking about the things. Imagine you have a funnel, okay? And what you're putting in the funnel is your to-do list, basically. You have homework, hanging out with friends, literally anything you spend your time on,
Yeah.
sleep, whatever it is. The first thing you should say, there's 4 steps. First thing you should say, do I have to do this?
Yeah.
Is this something I value?
Yeah.
Do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
And that comes back to when you're saying yes to one thing, you're saying no to a bunch of other things. So, if someone, I don't, if you have a task, right, and you don't really value it, right, are you doing something because you've always done it, or are you doing it because it's actually providing value to you?
Mhm.
And it could be little things, like, are you just, I don't know, do you wake up and just kind of waste time in the morning and like not do, I don't really know, but so that's kind of a bad example. I didn't
Yeah.
really think of a good one, but like the point is, like, are the things that you're doing, are the
Mhm.
tasks that you're doing long term, do they provide value? Are they significant? Are they important? And really understand that urgency does not give something importance or significance.
Yeah.
The fact that I put on my schedule I should wash my car tomorrow does not mean it's important or
Mhm.
significant. It just
Yeah.
means that that's when I put on my schedule, but it's not important that I have to wash my car.
Mhm.
Like that important. Eventually, like, I would like to wash it, but that's not the point,
Exactly.
right? So the first thing you do is say, do I have to do this? And people who are time multipliers, people who think about time effectively, they really do eliminate things a lot. And it seems almost selfish, but they say, I don't want to do that. That's
Yeah.
not something I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't be too ruthless. If a friend asks you for a favor, help your friends, guys.
Yeah.
Like, don't be greedy with your time, because that can be bad as well. But so first thing, eliminate. Second thing, automate.
Mhm.
If it can't be eliminated, how can I automate this? A great example for adults would be like bill pay. You pay your bills every month, right?
Mhm.
If you have bill pay set up to where it just automatically pays it for you every month, you're going to save time on that every single month. You don't have to
Mhm.
spend time doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
You can automate. With technology these days, we have so many things automating our life. Okay, so try to find something that can automate whatever you're doing. Third thing, delegate. Is there someone in my life? Can I give this task to someone else? And not in like a bad way, like, not can I offload this task to someone
Yeah.
else, but is there someone who could help me perform this task? It's just someone, obviously since we're younger, some of these seem a little less effective.
Yeah.
But when you get older, like especially once you get out of college, if you're in a job, if you're doing things, if you run a business, you always say, like, you have to delegate certain things to other people.
Yeah.
And the hardest issue in delegation is not actually delegating, it's trusting the people you're delegating with, right?
Yeah.
You have to understand that
Can I add on that note
Go
of
ahead, yeah.
like trust and delegating? Because as someone that's like trying to start an org, right, and I'm learning all these things, and the beauty of everything I'm doing, I'm starting all these multiple projects. Like I really do enjoy like the things I'm learning from, is because you understand, like, once you delegate something to someone, you give someone a task, that is you saying, like, I trust you. Like, that is such a big form of trust, is that I finally had to get over the fact that, like, yo, you can't do everything for this,
No.
or you can't make the slides, you can't keep running social media. You got to, like, trust the people
Right.
that you're working with, and that's how you build a team.
Yeah.
That's how you build trust, because they're like, oh, he trusts me to do this, and so yeah.
Right. And the trust is a crucial aspect in 2 ways. First of all, there's 2 kind of ways to look at this. You have to be able to trust the people that you're delegating to, right?
Mhm.
The second thing is, though, a lot of times we say, I can do that better than them.
Yeah.
That's the wrong question. You're asking the wrong question. The real question is, can they do it good enough for the time being? And then second of all, just know that when people are doing tasks, they're gonna get like it's naive to think that people will not learn
How
in a
to do
very
it
similar
better.
manner than you. Like maybe they might be able to do it the same way. Maybe they might not be able to do it better. Maybe they will be able to do it better. But the point is, eventually, there is a learning curve. They might not be able to do it at the moment, but they will in the future. So trust that people can learn. Like people are, the brain is
Yeah.
so smart. So it's important not to get too caught up in the trust to the
Mhm.
extent that it is debilitating when you
Yeah.
delegate. Okay.
Yeah.
Now that being said, there are some people you can't trust, and you do have to be wary.
Exactly.
Okay, but that's the third thing. Last thing. If you can't eliminate it, can't automate it, can't delegate it. There are obviously things you have to do. So those are things you do. That's the last thing is you do them. But the side note there is this something I have to do right now? And is it important to do something right now? And I think I have a lot of trouble with this where I will research things for the future when I really should wait to research those things when
the
I get
time-
closer to the future, because
Mhm.
what's going to happen is if I research them now, I'm going to have to go back and circle back and reread, re-research, and I'm going to
and then
spend double
waste
the amount of time. I'm just wasting time, right?
Yeah.
And so this is kind of an idea called procrastinate on purpose. It sounds so counterintuitive. Like, why
Mhm.
would I procrastinate on purpose? Like, I know I love procrastinating on schoolwork, but I don't do that on purpose. I do it because I just don't want to do my schoolwork, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a difference, right? When you procrastinate on purpose, you're saying this can wait. You're saying that this is not something I need to do at the moment. It's something that I can do in the future.
Mhm.
And what you do is you just take it, put it to the side, and when it's time to do it, you pop it back into the funnel again. You just keep putting it in the funnel. Again, can it be eliminated, automated, delegated, me? And what you find is there are some tasks that keep going through the funnel, and you finally get the courage to say, actually, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And
That can be eliminated.
that raises you honestly right when you said that too, you made me just think about like how can I save time in this class? Like I was thinking about a class that I really don't like. And to give y'all a good example into why to transition into why asking these questions, like again, we're going to emphasize time management cannot just be tips and tricks.
No.
Like tips and tricks are more of like ways to improve and just kind of optimize, right? Tips and tricks should be viewed as optimization. But fundamentally, when you're trying to build your time management, it actually comes down to philosophy. And it's actually crazy because when I was listening to this TED Talk, it all made sense, right? It all makes sense because when I'm thinking when you're thinking about something you have to do, you have to ask the questions like you said, and that's like literally beautifully point. You have to ask those questions like, what is important? Why am I doing this? What do I value? And an example for me is I'm taking like 17 hours, right? Taking a lot of classes. I'm taking 6 classes in a semester, and the average college student takes like 4 to 5, right? And it's insane. And so like I was like, okay, I can pass fail my classes, right? I can pass fail the classes I don't care about. And I was doing a lot of work for this AMS class because it's just a class that requires a lot of work. And usually I'm the type, like whenever I go into most classes, I'm like, you aim to get an A. That's how that's how we kind of got here. Cause we're just used to just being like, we have to try our hardest to get an A. Right. But then understanding that I could pass fail, but like my work, like the work I was doing was not aligned with the answer that I had answered. Like, do you care about this class? Should you be putting that much work? No. So once I finally realized, like, yo, I'm still getting A's on this. Like, I can cut down on half the things I'm doing, right? Like, I don't have to be doing. If the end goal, I know I'm going to do this. I just need to get this bare minimum grade to pass, and I can just cut it out, right? So it's asking yourself that question. It's why time management is actually it's actually a philosophy. You need to be asking yourself, like, what do I need to focus on? What is important to me?
That's such a great point because, and we were talking about this earlier. You know how Mel was basically giving me like a mini lecture when we were getting food. He was like, all right, Ben, stop worrying about your GPA so much. Right? So as an engineering major, your GPA doesn't it's not that it's not important, but the difference between a 3.3 and a 3.7 is not like it really doesn't. What they're looking for, and he told me this, and I know this, and it's so right. They're looking for experience. They're looking for internships. They're looking for hands-on. They're looking for those things, because you come out of undergrad and you get a job, right? You don't need a graduate degree, right? The reason he was telling me all this was because I have this weird notion that I need to get an A in every single class, that I need to get a 4.0 this semester.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, I don't, right? And when I step back, big picture, I say, all right, why am I getting my degree? So I can have a good engineering job. Okay, what's the best way to do that? It's to do this sounds kind of the minimum amount of work for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
You don't need to be a perfectionist. You just need to be good enough. And that sounds so weird to say, because good enough is, that doesn't mean bad.
Mm-hmm.
That a lot of times good enough is really hard.
Yeah.
But you just don't need to be 100%. You just need to be like 87%, right?
Yeah.
90, whatever it is, right? And so that's something that I need to work on better, is eliminating those things. Just step back and say, you know what? My architecture class, it's my VAPA. It's not that important. I could pass. I can pass fail it. Why am I trying to get an A?
Yeah.
And it's most, for me, it's been a pride thing. It's something that I have to work on.
Yeah.
But going back to, you said, and this is kind of hits on a point that I love, time management is more about what you don't do than what you do.
That
It's
is so
more
true.
about what you do not do than what you are doing.
Yeah, and that is so true too, cause and you hit home on the point where you cutting out those things, right? You figuring out what to cut out is and you've told me this. Figuring out what to cut out is actually the most important thing in time management, and it comes from the fact that you have to have the questions. Like, the tips and tricks aren't telling you what to. They're telling you how to optimize. Again,
Right.
remember, we're gonna say tips and tricks are optimization.
That's the whipped cream. It's the cherry on
it's
top.
it's what's helping you. You've already know what you want to work on, and so it's more about how can I be more efficient or be more effective in the things I do. But when it comes down to fundamentally managing your time, it's asking the questions of, it's taking a philosophical approach. And one of the most fundamental questions in philosophy when it comes to time management is, why don't I kill myself right now? Right. This is actually a very I bet it jumped to a lot of people like, yo, what? Well,
Sorry.
because
And that was a little out of pocket.
no, it was a little bit, but it's a fundamental question, and so I like to put the profound thing out there, but then backtrack and explain. Because if you are a thinker, if you've thought about this and you think a lot, some people come across the questions like, if we're all gonna die, why does anything matter? Right. So then
it's a fair question.
So it raises things like, if we're all gonna die, why does anything matter? Why am I spending my time getting a job? Why am I spending my time going to school if we're all gonna die and none of this matters, right? But then so it's like, why don't you kill yourself right now if none of that thing matters? And the reason why this question isn't supposed to be answered. It's supposed to give you a reaction. It's supposed to give you, and it's to mainly make you think about, makes you realize why you're actually here. Why are you still why have you not killed yourself? And I am not promoting self-violence, self-infliction, nothing like that. It's a philosophical question to make you think about why have you not killed yourself?
Yeah.
Why have you not done it? It's because there's a reason why you are here. So then you need to align what you're doing with those reasons.
Right. It's the question. The root of the question is not, should I kill myself? The root of the question is, what do I value in life? It's trying to find, what is my purpose? What are the things that I enjoy doing? What are my passions? Who are the people I love? What are the things I want to do? The experiences I want to have? What are those things? Okay. And I think this is one of the reasons that time management is so poor, is because to be able to have good time management, like you said, it's not about the tips. It's not about the tricks. It's not about those things. It's about taking what you find important and doing the important things. Okay, and that kind of gets back to the efficiency versus effectiveness thing. Optimization, efficiency. Effectiveness is saying, what do I want to do? Focus on those, cut everything else. Cut it all. It is not that important. And so the reason that we have so much trouble with this is because to do those things, to cut those things, we actually have to sit down, right? And we have to say, What do I value?
Yeah.
And that's a hard question.
That's
a very
it's a hard question, and teenagers and most people our age, we don't want to ask ourselves that because that's looking a little bit too far in the future, and people get afraid to look far in the future. But
It's
I promise, once you rub off the facade that the future is scary, and it is. But once you can rub it out, you see through all the muck, the yuck. You finally get to understand that if you can actually give yourself a kind of a clear direction towards where you want to go, it makes the future less scary.
Definitely.
But to hit on, so now we've emphasized a lot on like time, truly to start your time management, like journey of, improving your time management. It's all about asking the questions, the questions of what do you value? Maybe not, I had to make y'all think with, why don't you kill yourself right now? But I found when I was listening to the video and he said that, I was like, yo, chill.
Yeah. No,
yo, chill. But I want to actually talk about an approach, a time management approach, or a way of a method that Mr. Elon Musk himself uses,
Mr.
right?
Musk.
And it's actually really interesting. Then we're gonna end it off, maybe giving people something to consider, and maybe you might want to use this because you've heard Ben's one of his approach, asking those questions, the funnel. And what were those four things
first
again?
Thing, eliminate. What do I want to do? So focus those things, eliminate. Out of those things you want to do, automate, right? If you can't automate, delegate. If you can't do any of those things, you have to do them. Okay, that's the funnel. And obviously, if you don't want to do them now, if you think you can do them later, at an appropriate time, not a procrastinatory way. If you can do them in a later date, that's more effective, more saving you time, and save it for later to drop it back in the funnel. Okay, that's the idea.
And
go on though.
And so now we're going to explore a method. It's called time boxing. This is a method that Elon Musk uses. And simply all time boxing is the practice of setting fixed amount of time for each task and integrating the resulting time blocks into your schedule, right? And so this is going to align well with asking yourself the question, what's important? Because in order to do time boxing, you need to sit down and actually plan and be like, okay, what do I need to get done today? But again, we're going to emphasize that this is when you've already have asked these questions, what's important, but now we're in the stage of optimizing, right? We're now this is in the stage of optimizing. So
just to quickly reiterate, this is not the meat and bones. This is a way to optimize the meat and bones.
Like the methods, methods are the way to, are kind of like the structure, but the foundation is the questions. Exactly. So you're building a house, you're laying the foundation by asking yourself the questions, what's important, what do I need to do, and all XYZ like that. Why am I actually here? And then the structure, the frame of your time management comes from these methods. And so time boxing is again something that is just you finding out a fixed amount of time and putting into your schedule, right? How long is it going to take you to do something? And the reasons why you'd want to use time boxing is it removes the thing of questioning of the choice from the question, right? So it's like you don't have to think about, should I do this or this instead, right? So now like this is exactly what I need to do. And it's also the time limitation intensifies your level of focus, right? So knowing like, oh, I got an hour to do this. If you have it's a 3-hour deadline and you got to write a 6-page paper, you are moving. You're going to be moving.
You're not wasting time on research you don't need.
And what's that one law you talked about?
So this is I think this idea is one of the most effective ideas in terms of helping us be more efficient or more focused, I would say. This is Parkinson's law. Okay, so time expands to fill the work available. Or, no, sorry, I reversed that. Work expands to fill the time available. Okay? Yeah. Work expands to fill the time available. What does that mean? That means that if you sit down on a Tuesday night, you have one homework assignment left at 6 o'clock, it's going to take, it should take you an hour and 15 minutes. But you don't really have anything else to do. It might take you 3 hours to do that because, you'll get up and be like, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to be on my phone for a while. Yeah. And then you're in the middle and, maybe your friend calls you and then, you go, you're like, I actually kind of want to eat some food. I'll come back, finish it later. What you're doing is because you have time to do the work, you just kind of naturally fill the time with the work. Or maybe you'll just be doing the work and you'll just friddle around. You'll be like,
you won't do this.
You'll just be kind of like lackluster. You'll be doing it and you're just kind of like, oh, my math is kind of hard. Maybe I'll just sit here and watch organic chemist talk about my math homework for 20 minutes, even though like he's not even answering the question I really need to be answered. So the point is, with time boxing, is if you say,
I just want to say Ben really just called me out like that, bro. Like he really just called out what I did. Like that. Damn, Ben. Okay, go ahead.
The point with time boxing is to give yourself a forced deadline.
Yeah.
A force, and this is emotionally very difficult because you know the guy giving the deadline.
Yeah.
Is he gonna forgive you when the deadline comes? That's your decision because you are the one giving yourself the deadline.
Yeah.
If you say I want to finish this in an hour, and an hour comes, and you haven't finished it, and you're like, that's fine. What good is a deadline? It doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
But if you say, okay, well, and you say I should have done this in an hour, and you actually use that hour to focus. You use that idea of Parkinson's law, that work fills the time available, to understand that you should be focusing to finish your assignment in the amount of time you should finish your assignment. Okay, and this applies on a macro level as well. I think one of the greatest, one of the most useful applications is with money. A different way to phrase it with money would be that expenses fill the funds available. Okay, so what does that mean? If you are a senior in college, right, and you live on $5,000 a year, like that includes apartment rent, everything that
and you don't budget at all,
and you don't, that's just you live on $5,000 because that's all you have. And then you get out of college and you start making $80K a year. You're not suddenly netting $75K a year. What's gonna happen is you're probably gonna come to the end of the year and you're gonna be like, where did all my money go? Because your expenses filled the funds available. And so this idea is more than just time, it's money as well, but it's so helpful in thinking, did I actually use my time effectively, or was I simply filling the time available?
Exactly. And we hit it right on the nose on we hit it right on the nose of everything we wanted to say. Ben, you hit it perfectly. And so to remember, when you guys are beginning this process of I'm just with y'all too. I'm starting my own process. I'm talking about this like I know, but again, I never will say that I know everything. I continuously want to learn. I am just regurgitating what I've learned so you guys don't have to. And if you want to, we're going to have resources and links to, the things that helped us,
We're going to have plenty of resources in the description. And the thing, just like Mel said, I'm 18, he's 19. We're kids, okay? Well, how long have we had to implement these ideas? Not that long. What we have been doing, or at least what we've been doing, is researching these ideas, and we're currently going on this journey ourselves. We are by no means the paragon of efficiency. We are simply implementing these things, and as we're going, we're sharing the ideas that we found with y'all. So we hope you find all of these ideas effective
and helpful.
Yeah, don't use us as some kind of litmus test. Like we are the model exactly. We are
trying to get to that.
We're actively going there. We're striving every day.
And it's all about, I will emphasize this again to end the whole episode. One, when you're starting all this, don't beat yourself up too much because you aren't able to finish anything in an hour. It's all about one of the things about time boxing is we have a tendency to overestimate how well we can do within the time. So if you don't finish in the time you allotted, just look at it, reevaluate, and say, okay, did I waste time while I was doing it, or do I actually need more time? And then adjust your scheduling from there. But this is all to say that it's a learning process. When you take an L, don't look at it as a loss. Look at it as a lesson. And so in order to continue to improve and learn, continue to have an open mind, continue to want to explore new topics, and continue to always believe that you know enough, but you don't know everything, right? You might not even know enough, but you know, and there's still more to know. Always keep that in mind when you're approaching new topics, different things. But thank you guys for joining us on today's episode of the Adapt or Die podcast. Is there any closing thoughts you have, Ben?
No, thank y'all so much for joining. We actually have plenty of more time management stuff we could talk about. If you want to hear more, comment in the description. Let us know what you thought of these models. And looking forward to next time. We have some really interesting episodes coming up on personality, where it comes from, and how we can understand other people's personalities.
Exactly.
So looking forward for that.
So remember, thank you guys for joining us. Continue to explore and adapt. This has been the Adapt or Die podcast. Thank you for joining us. See y'all later.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Adapt or Die podcast.
For more information about us, follow us on Instagram at Adapt or Die, or find us on TikTok at AOD Podcast. You can also watch the podcast on our YouTube channel at AOD Co, spelled AODCO.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, continue to explore and adapt.